Right now, across America, grocery stores are restocking their shelves after the panic. The first wave of chaos has passed. People think the worst is over. But here's what nobody tells you. The real crisis does not begin until week 3. The first 2 weeks, everyone scrambles. They grab what they can. They hoard toilet paper and bottled water. But after 21 days, something changes. Panic buyers run out. The shelves stay empty. Supply chains stay broken. And the people who thought they were prepared realize they are not. When week 3 hits, only 5 foods will truly matter. Everything else becomes useless. And if you do not have these 5 foods stockpiled right now, you will not survive what comes next. This is not fear. This is reality. And reality does not wait for anyone. Number 1. Rice. When week 3 arrives and the chaos settles into a grim new reality. Rice becomes the difference between survival and starvation. This is not an exaggeration. This is a historical fact proven across every major crisis humanity has faced. Rice is the foundation upon which everything else is built, and without it, your chances of making it through an extended shortage drop dramatically. Right now, you need to understand why rice matters more than almost anything else you can stockpile, and why waiting even one more day to secure your supply could be the biggest mistake you ever make. Rice provides approximately 200 calories per cooked cup, and those calories are pure fuel for your body. When you are facing the stress of a prolonged crisis, when you are working harder physically than you ever have, when your mind is racing with worry and fear, your body burns through calories at an alarming rate. Rice delivers those calories efficiently, affordably, and reliably. But the caloric content is just the beginning of why rice becomes irreplaceable after week 3. The true power of rice lies in its shelf life. When stored properly in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, white rice can last 25 to 30 years without losing its nutritional value or edibility. Think about that for a moment. 3 decades. This means the rice you buy today could feed your children, your grandchildren, and still be perfectly safe to eat. History proves this point over and over again. During World War II, rice sustained entire populations when supply lines were cut and cities were under siege. During the Great Depression, families survived on rice and beans when everything else disappeared from their tables. In modern disaster zones, from Hurricane Katrina to the economic collapse in Venezuela, rice became the currency of survival. People traded gold jewelry for bags of rice because you cannot eat gold and you cannot survive without calories. These are not stories. These are documented realities that show what happens when a crisis extends beyond the first few chaotic weeks into months or even years of scarcity. White rice is superior to brown rice for long-term storage, and this is critical to understand. Brown rice contains oils in the bran layer that cause it to go rancid within 6 months, even under ideal storage conditions. White rice has had this layer removed, which is why it lasts decades. Yes, brown rice has more nutrients in normal times, but in a survival situation, longevity trumps everything. A nutritious food that spoils in 6 months is worthless compared to a stable food that lasts 30 years. This is the cold mathematics of survival, and emotion has no place in these calculations. Rice also stretches every other food you have. It's a small amount of canned meat, a handful of dried beans, a few vegetables. All of these become complete meals when combined with rice. Without rice, you eat through your supplies in weeks. With rice, those same supplies last months. Rice provides the bulk, the substance, the foundation that makes small amounts of other foods feel like real meals. This psychological element cannot be overstated. When people feel hungry, panic sets in. When they feel full, even if the meal is simple, hope remains alive. The economic reality makes rice even more critical. Rice costs pennies per serving, making it accessible for every budget, every family, every person regardless of income level. You do not need wealth to prepare with rice. You need awareness and action. But here is the truth that should terrify you during the early weeks of COVID-19. Rice disappeared from store shelves across America within 72 hours. Stores could not restock fast enough. Suppliers ran out. And the people who waited, who thought they had time, went without. When a crisis hits your area and rice vanishes, it may not return for months. By then, week 3 will have already arrived and you will have nothing. Number 2. Dried beans after week 3, when the last of the fresh meat has spoiled. When the eggs are long gone, when dairy products are nothing but a memory, your body will begin to scream for protein. This is not a metaphor. Your muscles will ache. Your energy will plummet. Your immune system will weaken. Your body will start breaking down its own tissue to find the protein it desperately needs to function. And in that moment, dried beans become worth more than gold because they deliver what your body cannot survive without. Protein is not optional. It is the building block of human survival, and dried beans are the only affordable, long-lasting, reliable source you can stockpile right now. Dried beans provide approximately 15 grams of protein per cooked cup, along with fiber, iron, magnesium, folate, and complex carbohydrates that sustain energy for hours. But the real power of beans goes beyond individual nutrients. When you combine beans with rice, something remarkable happens. Together, they create a complete protein profile containing all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot produce on its own. This combination has sustained human civilizations for thousands of years, from ancient Aztecs to modern-day survivalists, because it works. It keeps people alive when everything else fails. Your body does not care about gourmet meals during a crisis. It cares about survival, and beans deliver exactly what survival demands. History teaches this lesson with brutal clarity. Soldiers throughout World War I and World War II survived on beans when meat rations ran out. Pioneers crossing America in covered wagons carried beans because they knew nothing else would keep them alive through months of harsh travel. During the Great Depression, beans kept entire families from starvation. When there was no money for meat and no way to raise livestock, these are not romantic stories of the past. These are blueprints for what happens during prolonged scarcity, and we are not smarter or tougher than the generations before us. We're just less prepared. The shelf life of dried beans makes them irreplaceable for long-term preparedness. When stored in airtight containers in a cool, dry location, dried beans last 10 to 30 years. Black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, navy beans, lentils, all of them stay viable for decades if you store them correctly. This means you can buy beans today and know with absolute certainty that they will be there when you need them most, whether that is next year or 20 years from now. Most people do not think this far ahead. Most people assume grocery stores will always restock. Most people are wrong. The variety of beans available gives you a critical advantage that prevents food fatigue and nutritional deficiencies. Eating the same food every single day wears down your spirit and weakens your will to survive. But when you have black beans one day, pinto beans the next, lentils after that, your meals feel different even though the base ingredients are simple. This psychological element keeps morale high and prevents the despair that kills hope faster than hunger. Different beans also provide slightly different nutrient profiles, giving your body a broader spectrum of vitamins and minerals that prevent deficiency diseases. The economic advantage of dried beans cannot be ignored. Beans cost pennies per serving and provide maximum nutritional return for every dollar spent. A 20-pound bag of dried beans costs less than a single restaurant meal, yet it provides weeks of protein for an entire family. There is no other food on earth that delivers this level of value. If you are on a tight budget, if money is scarce, if you think you cannot afford to prepare, beans prove you wrong. Anyone can afford beans. The question is whether you will act before it is too late. Preparation methods matter, especially when electricity may not be available. Dried beans require soaking for several hours, then cooking until soft. You can do this over a campfire, a propane stove, or any heat source. Yes, it takes time and effort, but this is survival, not convenience. Some people worry about digestive issues from beans, and this concern is valid. But proper soaking and cooking reduce these problems significantly. And frankly, during a real crisis, minor discomfort is irrelevant compared to starvation. Your body adapts, your priorities shift, and beans keep you alive when nothing else will. Here's the reality nobody wants to admit after week 3. Protein becomes the most sought after and most fought over resource in any community facing shortages. People will trade anything for a source of protein because their bodies are breaking down without it. The people who stockpiled dried beans will have power and security. The people who did not will be desperate and vulnerable. You must decide right now which group you will be in, because once the crisis starts, the choice is already made. Number 3. Canned vegetables by week 3. Every piece of fresh produce is gone. The lettuce has rotted. Tomatoes are mush. The carrots have shriveled into useless sticks. And your body begins to pay the price. You might not notice it immediately, but inside your cells, a war is starting. Without fresh vegetables, without the vitamins and minerals they provide, your immune system weakens. Your gums start to bleed. Your wounds stop healing properly. Your energy vanishes even though you are eating enough calories. This is what vitamin deficiency looks like, and it can kill you just as surely as starvation. Canned vegetables become your shield against this invisible enemy, and without them, even a stockpile of rice and beans will not save you. Canned vegetables provide the essential vitamins your body cannot produce on its own. Vitamin C prevents scurvy, a disease that once killed more sailors than storms and battles combined. Vitamin A protects your vision and keeps your immune system functioning. Vitamin K helps your blood clot properly so a small cut does not become a life-threatening injury. These are not luxuries. These are fundamental requirements for human survival. And after week 3, canned vegetables are the only practical way to get them. Canned tomatoes, green beans, corn, carrots, peas, spinach, each one delivers a concentrated dose of nutrition that keeps your body running when fresh food is nothing but a memory. History shows us what happens when people lose access to vegetables during prolonged crises. British sailors in the 1700s died by the thousands from scurvy, till the Navy started providing citrus fruits and preserved vegetables. During the Venezuelan economic collapse that started in 2014, vitamin deficiencies became epidemic as fresh produce disappeared from markets and people survived on whatever starches they could find. Children developed rickets. Adults developed scurvy and beriberi. Hospitals filled with patients suffering from malnutrition, even though they were eating every day. Calories alone are not enough. Your body needs micronutrients, and canned vegetables deliver them reliably when nothing else is available. The shelf life of canned goods makes them ideal for long-term preparedness. Most canned vegetables have a printed expiration date of 2 to 5 years, but the truth is they remain safe to eat far longer if the cans are undamaged and stored properly. Canned food has been recovered from shipwrecks over 100 years old and tested perfectly safe for consumption. The canning process creates a sterile, sealed environment where bacteria cannot survive, which means the food inside remains preserved almost indefinitely. Yes, some nutrients degrade slowly over many years, but even decade-old canned vegetables provide more nutrition than no vegetables at all. This is the difference between surviving and thriving during extended scarcity. Canned vegetables require zero preparation, and this advantage cannot be overstated. You can open a can and eat the contents cold if necessary. No cooking, no electricity, no fuel. Just open and eat. When you are exhausted from the physical and mental strain of surviving a crisis, when you have no energy left to cook. When your resources are stretched to the breaking point, canned vegetables provide instant nutrition with zero effort. They also contain liquid that provides hydration along with nutrients, giving you 2 critical resources in one package. In a grid-down scenario where clean water is scarce, the liquid in canned vegetables can literally save your life. The psychological benefit of canned vegetables is just as important as the physical nutrition. When you can add corn to your rice, when you can mix green beans with your beans, when you can pour tomato sauce over your simple meal, suddenly it feels like real food instead of bland survival rations. This mental shift keeps morale high and prevents the food fatigue that causes people to give up hope. Depression and despair killed during prolonged crises, and anything that maintains mental health becomes a survival tool. Canned vegetables provide that comfort and familiarity when everything else in your world has changed. Many people worry about the sodium content in canned vegetables, and in normal times, this concern makes sense. But during an actual survival situation, sodium becomes an asset, not a liability. Your body loses salt through sweat and stress, and replacing it becomes critical. The sodium in canned vegetables helps maintain that balance. When you are rationing food and burning calories through hard physical work, high sodium is the least of your concerns. Staying alive is the priority, and canned vegetables help you do exactly that. Here's the truth that should shake you into action after week 3. Malnutrition weakens communities faster than hunger. People become sick. It cannot fight off infections. Minor injuries become major problems. And entire groups of survivors collapse not from lack of calories, but from lack of nutrients. The people who stockpiled canned vegetables stay strong, stay healthy, and stay alive. The people who ignored this basic preparation become weak, vulnerable, and desperate. You have the power right now to choose which future you will face. Canned vegetables are cheap, available, and easy to store. The only question is whether you will act before the shelves are empty and week 3 arrives with nothing left to buy. Number 4. Peanut butter. When week 3 hits and your body is burning through calories faster than you ever imagined possible. When the physical demands of survival leave you exhausted and shaking. When you need energy right now and cannot wait to cook a meal, peanut butter becomes your lifeline. This is not about preference or taste. This is about calorie density, immediate availability, and the kind of sustained energy that keeps you moving when stopping means giving up. Peanut butter delivers approximately 190 calories in just 2 tablespoons, along with 7 to 8 grams of protein, healthy fats, vitamin E, magnesium, and potassium. This is concentrated survival fuel in a form that requires no preparation, no cooking, no refrigeration, and no special storage. You open the jar and eat, and within minutes, your body has the energy it desperately needs. The high-fat content in peanut butter is what makes it truly irreplaceable during a crisis. Fat provides more than twice the calories per gram compared to carbohydrates or protein, which means a small amount goes a long way. When you are rationing food and stretching every ounce to last as long as possible, calorie density becomes everything. Fat also slows digestion. It's providing sustained energy over hours, instead of the quick spike and crash you get from simple carbohydrates. This keeps you stable, focused, and functional even when meals are small and infrequent. Additionally, fat helps your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins like D, E, and K from other foods, making your entire diet more effective. Without adequate fat intake, your body cannot properly use the nutrients from vegetables and other foods, which means you can eat and still suffer from deficiencies. The psychological comfort of peanut butter cannot be dismissed. During a crisis, when everything feels uncertain and terrifying, familiar foods provide mental relief and emotional stability. Peanut butter tastes like home. It tastes like childhood. It tastes like normalcy in a world that has become abnormal. This mental boost keeps depression and despair at bay. And in a prolonged survival situation, mental health is just as critical as physical health. People who lose hope stop trying. People who maintain even small comforts keep fighting. Peanut butter is one of those small comforts that carries enormous psychological weight. Modern examples prove how valuable peanut butter becomes during shortages. During the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, peanut butter flew off shelves faster than almost any other item except toilet paper and hand sanitizer. Preppers and survivalists have ranked peanut butter in their top 5 essential foods for decades. Because they understand what most people do, not that calorie-dense, shelf-stable, ready-to-eat foods are worth their weight in gold when supply chains break. During the 2008 economic crisis, families who lost jobs and faced food insecurity relied heavily on peanut butter because it provided maximum nutrition for minimum cost. These patterns repeat throughout history because the underlying principles of survival never change. The practical advantages of peanut butter make it ideal for emergency preparedness. It requires no refrigeration, even after opening, as long as temperatures stay reasonable. It needs no cooking or heating. It has a shelf life of 1 to 2 years when sealed, and often remains safe much longer. It is extremely versatile. You can eat it straight from the jar with a spoon, spread it on crackers or bread if you have them. Mix it into rice for added flavor and calories. Stir it into beans to create a protein-rich meal, or even add it to oatmeal if you have that available. 1 jar of peanut butter can transform a dozen bland, depressing meals into something bearable and satisfying. The caloric efficiency of peanut butter makes it essential when food supplies are limited and physical demands are high. During a crisis, you might be chopping wood, hauling water, fortifying your home, standing watch, or performing countless other physical tasks that burn thousands of calories per day. If your food cannot keep up with that energy expenditure, your body starts breaking down muscle tissue for fuel, and you become weaker every single day. Peanut butter provides maximum calories per ounce, which means you can carry it easily, store it compactly, and get more energy from less food. This efficiency becomes critical when every cubic inch of storage space matters, and every calorie counts. Protein and fat become harder to obtain after week 3 than carbohydrates, and this creates a dangerous nutritional gap. Rice and beans provide carbs and some protein, but fat is scarce in most survival diets unless you plan for it. Peanut butter fills that gap perfectly. Combination of protein and fat in peanut butter makes it a complete survival food that addresses multiple nutritional needs simultaneously. For people with peanut allergies, almond butter or other nut butters provide similar benefits, though they tend to be more expensive. The key is having some form of dense, fatty, protein-rich spread in your stockpile. Here's the reality that should drive you to take action. Immediately, peanut butter disappears from stores faster than almost anything else during panic buying because people instinctively understand its value, even if they cannot articulate why. When the crisis hits your community and you walk into an empty grocery store, the peanut butter aisle will be bare. The people who waited, who assumed they would have time, who thought the shortage warnings were exaggerated, will go without. And without peanut butter, or a similar calorie-dense food, they will face serious energy deficits and nutrition problems that weaken them exactly when they need strength most. You have the opportunity right now to avoid that fate. The question is whether you will take it. Number 5. Salt is the survival item that almost everyone forgets, and that mistake can kill you. Right now, you probably have a container of salt in your kitchen, and you think that is enough. It is not. Not even close. When week 3 arrives, and the reality of prolonged scarcity sets in, salt becomes one of the most critical resources you can possess, and yet most people do not stockpile even a single extra pound. This oversight is dangerous because your body cannot function without sodium. This is not an exaggeration or scare tactic. This is human biology. Sodium is essential for nerve function, muscle contraction, fluid balance, and blood pressure regulation. Without adequate salt intake, your body begins to shut down. And the condition called hyponatremia leads to weakness, confusion, seizures, and death. You can have all the rice and beans in the world, but without salt, your body will fail. During a crisis, your body loses salt at an accelerated rate. You sweat more from physical labor. You stress more from the constant pressure of survival. You work harder than you ever have in your normal life. All of that activity strips sodium from your system, and if you cannot replace it, the consequences come fast. You feel weak. Your muscles cramp. Your thinking becomes foggy. You cannot perform the physical tasks necessary to keep yourself and your family safe. This is how people die during disasters, not from dramatic injuries, but from silent deficiencies that accumulate until the body simply cannot continue. Salt prevents this collapse, and a 5-pound container of salt costs less than a fast food meal. There is no excuse for not having it. History proves how valuable salt becomes during prolonged scarcity. In ancient Rome, soldiers were paid in salt, which is where the word salary comes from. Salt was literally currency because people understood they could not survive without it. Trade routes across Africa, Asia, and Europe were built around salt distribution because civilizations needed it to function. During the American Civil War, the Union blockade of southern ports cut off salt supplies, and Confederate soldiers suffered terribly from salt deficiency. Their wounds would not heal. Their strength faded. Their health collapsed. Pioneers traveling westward carried salt as one of their most precious supplies because they knew that without it, preserved meat would spoil and their bodies would weaken. These lessons are written in blood across human history, and we ignore them at our own peril. The preservation power of salt makes it doubly valuable during a crisis. Salt prevents food spoilage by creating an environment where bacteria cannot grow. You can preserve meat and fish with salt when refrigeration is unavailable, extending your food supplies for months instead of days. You can pickle vegetables with salt brine, creating shelf-stable nutrition from fresh produce before it rots. Throughout human history, before refrigeration existed, salt was the only method of food preservation that worked reliably, and it still works today. When the grid goes down and freezers stop working, salt becomes the tool that prevents massive food waste and starvation. People with salt can preserve their food. People without salt watch everything spoil and go hungry. Salt comes in different forms, and having variety matters for both health and practicality. Iodized table salt prevents thyroid problems and iodine deficiency, which can cause severe health issues including goiter, mental impairment, and developmental problems in children. Sea salt provides trace minerals that your body needs in small amounts, including magnesium, calcium, and potassium. Kosher salt is excellent for food preservation because of its texture and purity. Having all three types in your stockpile gives you flexibility and ensures you cover all nutritional and practical needs. The cost is minimal, and the space required is tiny compared to the life-saving value salt provides. The flavor factor is more important than most people realize. When you are eating bland survival rations day after day, week after week, food fatigue sets in, and people lose their appetite even when they have food available. This psychological problem causes people to undereat, leading to weight loss, weakness, and declining health. Salt makes food taste better. It makes rice and beans palatable. It transforms boring meals into something you actually want to eat, which keeps you consuming the calories and nutrients your body needs. This is not about luxury or comfort. This is about maintaining the will to survive. When hope fades and every day feels like a struggle, a properly seasoned meal can be the difference between giving up and pushing forward. Salt storage is incredibly simple because salt never expires. It can clump together if exposed to moisture, but it never goes bad. A bag of salt you buy today will still be perfectly usable 50 years from now. Store it in airtight containers or sealed bags in a dry location, and it will last forever. You can stockpile a year's supply of salt for a family of 4 using less than 25 pounds, which costs around $10 and fits in a single cardboard box. The return on investment is astronomical. There's no other survival resource that provides this much value for this little cost and effort. Salt has medical applications that become critical when professional health care is unavailable. Salt water can clean wounds and prevent infection. Oral rehydration solution made from salt, sugar, and water can save lives during illness by preventing dehydration from vomiting or diarrhea. Salt water can be used as a mouth rinse for dental problems when toothpaste runs out. These medical uses might seem minor until you face a situation where a small infection becomes life-threatening because you have no way to properly clean and care for injuries. Salt provides that capability, and it costs almost nothing to have on hand. Here is the shocking truth that should terrify you into actions. Salt is so common and so cheap in modern life that people completely overlook it when preparing for emergencies. And they stockpile expensive freeze-dried meals and fancy survival gear, but they forget to buy extra salt. Then the crisis hits. Stores close, supply chains break, and suddenly salt is unavailable. You cannot substitute anything else for salt. Your body needs sodium, and nothing else will do the job. The people who remembered to stockpile salt will have a critical survival resource. The people who forgot will face serious health consequences that compound every other problem they encounter. Right now, today, you can walk into any store and buy as much salt as you want for pocket change. Next month, next year, during the crisis, that option might not exist. The choice is yours, but the window to make that choice is closing faster than you think. This is not a theory. This is not speculation. This is the documented reality of what happens when shortages extend beyond the initial panic into week 3 and beyond. Rice, dried beans, canned vegetables, peanut butter, and salt, these 5 foods form the foundation of survival when everything else has failed and stores remain empty. Hope is not a strategy, and waiting guarantees you will be too late. Right now, today, you have the power to secure your future with simple, affordable steps. Start building your stockpile immediately. Buy these 5 foods every time you shop. Store them properly. Rotate them regularly. Take control of your survival instead of leaving it to chance. The people who prepare will survive. The people who wait will wish they had acted when they still had time. Do not become a statistic. Take action now because week 3 is coming whether you are ready or not.